The flower's dying. It needs water. Evening, Edgar. Could I get your professional opinion?
Please speak, but I have something important to tell you.
This strain of flu, it's very different from the one I saw in Europe. It's downright peculiar.
Really? What makes you say that?
I've just looked at the blood of one of our recently deceased.
I see. Do you have anything more to go on?
This disease spreads and looks like the Spanish flu, but its effects differ greatly. The London strain is different from the continental one.
This is very interesting. Did you find something else?
Yes. Unlike the flu, the infected begin to show an increase in outwardly aggressive behavior. More than simple agitation. Once docile people become violent.
You mean like rabies? Is there a chance we could create a vaccine, Jonathan, like Pasteur? By the stove, that would be smashing.
There's a lot we're not seeing here, but it is spreading, and quickly. If we don't act, the whole city could be lost.
But Jonathan, we've a fantastic opportunity sitting right here in front of us. A weapon of choice.
What on earth do you mean?
Why, you, my dear boy. With your expertise and your blood, we could isolate the properties that course through your veins. Think about the possibilities.
And why not? What did Stoker say about the Children of the Night? Well, using my blood, I could create a whole army of vampires.
Surely you're joking.
We'll discuss this more later. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, Jonathan. But as I said, I needed to talk to you. I have some rather bad news.
Yes?
I'm afraid it's your sister.
My sister?
She's to be buried this evening at Whitechapel Cemetery. Your mother published the obituary this morning.
I see.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences.
I need to talk to you, Edgar.
Please do so.
So you manage a hospital financed by a vampire?
Yes, Pembroke was founded by Lady Ashbury. She's also our largest donor.
If I may inquire, how did you meet her?
Well, Jonathan, she sought me out and offered me the position. It's been a very profitable partnership for both parties.
A convenient yet expensive way to have a fresh supply of blood on hand, day and night, don't you think?
All vampires drink blood by nature. Me, I praise the lady's exemplary moral fiber.
Do you know anything about the vampire hunters in the East End?
Without a doubt, it's the Guard of Prewen. Zealots to the last man.
They're definitely well organized and equipped.
They're extremely dangerous and not to be trifled with. To them, you're a feral beast, and I, your accomplice.
Where do they come from?
Once they shared the Brotherhood's ideology on non-intervention, but they concluded vampires were a scourge.
Nurse Crane will not be returning to Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, really? Did something happen? She seems such a very capable woman.
Perhaps too capable. Nurse Crane also ran an illicit dispensary in Whitechapel. I had to ask for her resignation.
I see. Well, we'll just have to manage without her assistance.
We'll talk later. I need to talk to you, Edgar.
Please do so.
We'll talk later.
daily routine.
A giant morgue disguised.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Do you require my services, Miss Howcroft?
I have no need for your medicine, Dr. Reed. Blood is the only drug I need.
Don't worry, sir. Everything's going to be fine.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities. I never thought I would have to attend my murdered sister's funeral. Mary, I can't forgive myself. I'll find the truth about what happened to us. I swear.
If only there were more of us, with less resignation and more determination.
I know I can count on you. I wish I could say the same for the others.
You look exhausted. You're pushing yourself too hard. You don't have to bear the burdens of this hospital.
Perhaps I should have
alone.
considered the offer from that Cadigan fellow.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Tell me, Thoreau, what's the real cause of your dislike for Dr. Ackroyd?
He refuses to admit that your blood transfusion technique is the only way to save Mr. Fiddick. I'm convinced we must use it.
What Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform this operation efficiently. Is there anything you have to say about this?
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd secretly envies your reputation. His jealousy blinds him. I'm not the real target here.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
My sweet girl.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
My sweet girl. You like a book? I'll never forgive you.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Tell me the truth about your appointment as a medic during the war, Rakesh.
The regiment administration appointed me by mistake. I had to learn the job on the spot, sir. Very hard, sir, but I rose to the challenge.
You can't impersonate a doctor. You can't improvise a medical education. People could die at your hands.
You're absolutely right, sir. But as a field surgeon, it was more like being a butcher.
Do you believe you have really helped these people?
My ratings were within the averages of the regiment. I saved lives, Dr. Reed. Does that not say enough about triage and war surgery?
Do you realize how many soldiers died because of that decision? You should have refused.
Yes, sir. I swear I did, sir. But no one listened. When the first wounded arrived, I had to do what I could.
It is an unbelievable story, Mr. Chidana.
It was a time beyond belief, Dr. Reed. But I'm happy not to deal with the wounded. I prefer caring for the dead now.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful.
fuck is fast?
In this letter, Mortimer Goswick does nothing to hide his desire to die. I could give it to his mother, but doing so would betray his trust. It's locked, all right.
Are you deaf? Easy does it, boys! We can deal with this.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have retrieved your letter, Mr. Goswick. I can assure you that nobody read it but me.
Thank you. This is for you, then. For your help. And for your silence.
I think you should talk to your mother. It would be good for both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. I'll think about it. Now please, let me be.
I've read your letter, Mortimer. You wrote about an unbearable feeling of despair while the world crumbles around you. Tell me more about it.
There's nothing more to say, really. It's hurtful, it's unbearable, and I don't ask anyone to understand what I feel.
Don't you see how lucky you are? You're rich, you're in good health, and you have a loving mother. You're simply drowning in self-pity.
Leave me alone then, Doctor, and let me drown myself.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Mortimer is extremely vague as to his motivations for committing suicide. Tell me more about what you know.
As you say, Mortimer had no reason to die. All he said to me was that he wanted to make the world a better place, but couldn't.
What do you think he meant by making the world a better place?
Mortimer has always been a sensitive soul. He wouldn't talk to anyone for months after his father passed. It's like he carries everyone's sadness with him.
Why did your son feel so useless when facing the world?
I think it was more that he could only see the melancholy facets of life. He couldn't help but dwell on such things.
I have read your son's suicide note. It was not an impulsive gesture, nor was it his first attempt.
He threatened to kill himself a few times before. But I never thought he would dare to punish me this much.
Punish you? Why?
I've known for a long time he was not happy with his life. But I always hoped he cared enough to avoid making me suffer like this.
You realize your son could try to kill himself again. He might succeed next time.
I think about it every minute. But I won't stop fighting for my son's future. That's how much I love him.
You're right. Your son's death was not fatal, and unlike many on their own, he is lucky to have you by his side.
I can't give up on him. I just can't. I have conceded many times in my life, but giving up on my son is something I am incapable of.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Your mother won't let you down, Mortimer. Don't you share her hope for a better future?
No. I don't.
Won't you even try?
Do you want me to promise you I'll get better? Do you want me to tell her the same thing? I could, but it would not change anything.
Do you need any help?
Thank you, Dr. Reed, but you've done enough already. The rest is up to me now.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Mr. Petrescu. What are you doing here?
I could ask you the exact same question, Mr. Doctor. Now leave me alone.
I heard what happened to Nurse Crane. How do you feel, Mr. Petrescu?
Everything was going well until you arrived. Dorothea helped people and will be sorely missed.
I regret it too. I wish she'd continued working at the Pembroke Hospital. She was a good nurse.
So you put an end to the operation. Did you put an end to Dorothea as well?
You seem to have a lot on your chest, sir. What's wrong?
I heard you are a famous surgeon. Tell me, what did you do to Dorothea? She was so bright, so clever. Then you made her an empty shell.
I didn't use drugs or medical trickery, Mr. Petrescu. All I did was talk to Nurse Crane. I promise you.
But what happened to her then? After you left, she did not even recognize me. Then she got careless and sick, and I had to flee.
Tell me everything you know about
I do not believe...
What do you plan to do now that Nurse Crane is gone?
I'm not sure. Strange men came to see me after Dorothea's death, with strange weapons and very odd stories.
What kind of stories?
Stories all Romanian children know. It was as if I was home again. Vampires, Mr. Doctor. Vampires.
You believe them? Aren't you too old to hold a weapon or listen to scary stories?
Yes, I am old and alone and will die soon, but if these stories are true, maybe I have found myself another cause.
Are you living on the streets, Mr. Petrescu?
And why not? Those who believe they'll be safe behind walls are blind.
What about your house?
My house is always open to any poor soul needing a roof. All my work here is lost now that Dorothea is gone, thanks to you.
Why are you so aggressive?
I remember the night you came here and convinced me to open my door to you, sir. I'd like to punch you right on your chops.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
Maybe it's time to see if this Christina is still working nearby.
Good evening, sir. Do you remember me?
If you're here for a reward, you'll be sorely disappointed. But I'll gladly shake the hand of a fellow countryman.
I'm not here for a bounty. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed from the Pembroke.
A doctor? In Whitechapel? What an opportunity. My name's Bates. Cadogan Bates.
Do you require assistance, Mr. Bates?
Not me, but your skills could help a lot of people round here. That would help my business, because I say a live tenant's a paying tenant.
It's unusual to see someone so happy around here, especially considering the current situation.
Why should I be sad now? There've always been wars, disease, tragedy. There always will be.
That's an unusual way of seeing things in these trying times.
I don't see why I should shed a tear for another man's woes. I'm healthy, and I intend to stay so.
What is your business, exactly?
I offer fair lodgings for a modest price to the poor and weary of Whitechapel.
I see. And what about those who cannot pay?
Well, deals can be done, if you know what I mean. Money's not the only currency. After all, I'm not immune to a pretty face.
You obviously place yourself above the misery of Whitechapel, but you are as repellent an individual as I have ever met.
Begging your pardon, I thought you was a man who could appreciate the complexity of the modern world. Things ain't just black and white, you know.
What help could I possibly be to your business?
That's simple. I already get good money from all those fleeing the war. Can you imagine what they'd be willing to pay if I could offer medical assistance too?
Mr. Bates, do not make me regret saving your life in this quarantine zone.
I understand, Dr. Reed, you're from a good family. Don't want to get your hands dirty. That's fine. I'll be happy to act as your middleman.
I'm no saint, but to take advantage as you do, you are a despicable man who could only prosper in these dark times.
So it's a no then. That's too bad. The Reed tonic could have really helped people, you know, saved lives. Isn't that what you do? I mean, people buy that Swambra shit.
Tell me, what's your honest opinion of the increasing violence in London?
People are just beginning to discover what we've always known. This city's rotten to the core. They just took their bloody time to wake up and notice it.
What do you mean?
People are acting like the violence is news. But it's always been savage down here. It just bubbles to the surface every now and again.
Have you heard anything about Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Not really.
Why am I not convinced?
Maybe it's because you lack faith. Being a skeptic must be useful for a man of science.
A man such as yourself, knee-deep in the muck of Whitechapel, must know more. Speak now.
Heard it closed after the owners died. Refugees don't want to come to Whitechapel no more. Scared, I hear.
You sound disappointed.
As long as she was there at the dispensary, it attracted more immigrants and kept my place full. Such a shame.
You seem to have recovered well since your attack. Do you ever think about what happened to you?
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. It made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you. I want to know everything about the recent violence, Cadogan. And I want the truth.
Well, rent may be a bit high, and yeah, I've had to evict a few people. But that's business, isn't it?
Sir, I wish I had found you a few nights later than I did. Or maybe never at all. Death would have been a well-deserved punishment for your villainy.
Yeah, but you saved me, didn't you? And you'd do it again, because you're a decent chap. Just know I'm not.
Take this as my final warning. You will not profit from the misery of others. Business is one thing, but what you do is quite another.
Really? What you gonna do? You ain't from here. You ain't Whitechapel, Doctor. You wouldn't know the first thing about playing dirty, even if you wanted to.
Goodbye, Mr. Bates. Good evening, Mr. Petrescu.
Surely you have someone else to bother, Mr. Doctor.
Tell me everything.
I do not...
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu. I have this thirst for blood.
answer to all your problems. As long as you have the money.